We start the episode with Peter getting in trouble during his class as he is trying to apologize to Nico. Meanwhile, Lonnie is booted off the team for not showing up to practice several times in a row. His coach says that it is hard for him to do that, but it needs to happen, and then tries to shake Lonnie's hand, to which Lonnie ignores as he packs up his bags. Pearl tries to stop Lonnie to get some explanation, but he tells her it is just a family matter, and his family always comes first. He is also happy. He doesn't have to live up to the high expectations of everyone around him. He leaves her hanging in the middle of the school corridor. Back to Peter, he catches up with Nico after class and apologizes. They try to be honest with each other, so Nico tells Peter there are no hard feelings, just for Peter to then take the opportunity to set up another get-together with her and Harry. Lonnie goes back home and has to lie to his parents about their not having any practice this afternoon. His little brother confronts him privately and berates him for screwing up his life when it was supposed to be him. Lonnie asks for his brother to be grateful, but his brother is infuriated because he had nothing to lose and joined the gang to feel useful. Now Lonnie stole even that from him. Lonnie storms off the house, and we see a green car parked by the house that appears to have been spying on him. Meanwhile, Peter tells Harry about the meeting back at Harry and Norman's top floor space. He catches Jean from the internship trying to sneak in and confronts her, but she manages to weasel out before any interrogation happens. Peter takes Harry back to his place, and the hangout with Nico starts off awkward, but they quickly break the ice and converse like normal friends. Norman goes to a charity event and meets with General Ross. They talk about the Sokovia Accords, and Norman does the usual kissing ass and offering Oscorp's help to get in their good graces. And to make sure he appears sincere in his support, he tells him about Oscorp's deployment of Spider-Man and requests that the information remains classified. I honestly felt like he was betraying Peter here, but he showed Ross a profile of Spider-Man that had the picture of one of his security staff, so I guess he is being extra careful and smart here. Suddenly, he gets an alert about an intruder back at Oscorp, and he excuses himself to deal with it. Norman then interrupts Peter's night out to call and ask him to suit up and investigate the breach real quick. Peter is reluctant, but quickly comes up with an excuse to leave Nico and Harry while he goes on this quick mission. Meanwhile, Lonnie realizes he is being followed by the Scorpion gang chick and he immediately runs away to lose her. He gets saved by his homies from his gang, but it looks like the Scorpion chick got what she wanted. Spider-Man swings to Oscorp and finds a glass hole in Norman's office with a knocked-out security guard. He follows the mysterious intruder up to the roof, and it turns out to be none other than Daredevil baby. Although Spider-Man obviously doesn't know him yet, so they fight, and Daredevil is making easy work of Spider-Man, kicking his ass and very respectfully calling out his fighting skills. Spider-Man tries to understand why he was here, and all he gets from Daredevil is that Oscorp is hiding something before getting knocked out by him. Meanwhile, Nico and Harry try to bond, but it kind of fails. They talk about how awesome Peter is as a friend, and Nico tells Harry that she knows all of his secrets, so Harry stupidly thinks she knows about him being Spider-Man as well, and tells her. Spider-Man calls Norman and tells him about Daredevil and how he said they are hiding something. They talk, and he tells Spider-Man that he is now sure that one of his old friends, Dr. Otto Octavius, is after the tech that is being distributed by the villains. He didn't want to put the blame on him, but he thinks Daredevil was sent here to steal his data for him, even though Spider-Man thinks Daredevil is not a mere criminal. Peter then returns to his friends, and Nico tries to play off him being Spider-Man like it is a joke, only to discover the suit inside his bag and storms off while tearing up. Meanwhile, Donovan assures Lonnie that he is safe with the gang, but little do they know that the Scorpion gang located their hideout, and now their leader has outfitted himself with a scorpion suit with the help of Dr. Octopus. Peter tries to stop Nico from having a talk with her during school, but she completely brushes him off. Pearl realizes there is trouble in paradise and asks Peter what is wrong, and Peter asks her about Lonnie as well. Pearl rants about her relationship with Lonnie to Peter, and he reassures her as best as he can. Peter then goes to Norman, and they work together to locate Dr. Octopus. They throw around possible energy sources he might be using to better triangulate his position in New York, and they end up realizing that he might be using gamma radiation energy. Their search nets them leads where a source of gamma energy is moving to Harlem. They realize it is one of Doc Ock's devices, and Peter immediately suits up to investigate. Harry goes to visit Nico so he could fix her relationship with Peter after he messed things up. They argue about the whole thing for a while, but it ends naturally and without too much trouble. They even bond a bit as Harry takes the time to teach Nico how to drive after she mentioned she couldn't earlier. Nico seems to be getting the hang of it until some annoying girl challenges them to a race, and Nico accepts the challenge and actually wins. Meanwhile, Pearl shocks Lonnie and visits him at the gang hideout. She claims that his little brother texted her and told her about the location because he is worried about him. She tries to get to leave with him, but he brushes her off, right before the entrance of the hideout explodes and Scorpion shows up. Lonnie hides Pearl as Scorpion easily takes out all the gang members. He goes to help Donovan, but Scorpion only shifts his focus to him and strangles him with his stinger. Suddenly, Spider-Man enters the scene and saves Lonnie and Pearl while fighting Scorpion. Harry takes Nico back home, and they tell each other that everything is Gucci, but Nico is still mad at Peter. Harry tries to talk to her one last time to get her to understand Peter's perspective, and the whole convo cements their friendship even further. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is going through hell. Scorpion is easily overpowering him, but Spider-Man manages to outsmart him at the last second and restrain him using his web. It only took all of his web fluid to do that. He tells Norman everything is good, and Norman leaves the communication channel, but then suddenly, Scorpion powers up his gamma suit and breaks free. Scorpion beats the ever-living shit out of Spider-Man, and even stabs him in the back after distracting him. This perks up Norman's attention, and he picks up communication again, and sends a glider to pick up Spider-Man and save him. Norman takes Peter to an experimental medical wing at Oscorp, and has the doctors work on him. He wakes up the next day, and Norman assures him about his secret identity, and that his Aunt May has been informed he was staying overnight with Harry, so she is not worried. They talk about his totaled suit, and how Peter needs to believe in himself, and push himself to a higher level to survive the next time. Peter proceeds to leave Oscorp, but stops on the way to check on Dr. Connors, and how her project is successfully going along. Peter then goes back home, and Aunt May stops him before he sneaks to his room. He comes up with a flimsy excuse for his bruises, and then breaks down in front of her because he feels he is not strong enough. They have a heart-to-heart, and Aunt May manages to cheer him up. Doc Ock, on the other hand, is at his secret lab lazing about, but then suddenly the police storm his place to arrest him. We get a really cool scene of Octavius being nonchalant about escaping while his mechanical arms take care of the police. It reminded me of the Spider-Man 2 surgery scene, except with more comedy and less horror. Doc Ock thinks he has taken care of everyone and no one can realistically stop him. That is, of course, until Iron Man shows up and makes things difficult. Meanwhile, Peter tries to record a voicemail to Nico and apologize to her, but instead Pearl calls him to her house to finish their assignment, and he speeds to her place. They work a little on their project before Lonnie shows up to talk to Pearl. She tells him that he doesn't need to go back to the gang, but he feels that he owes them for saving his life that one time. Pearl then breaks up with him and returns to her house crying. Peter tries his hand at stopping him but also fails. Peter goes to Norman for advice, and Norman reiterates his point on Peter not holding back and embracing his power. And then he twists Uncle Ben's famous line to be about respect instead of responsibility. This doesn't make Peter comfortable at all. Donovan, Lonnie, and the rest of the gang meet up with an informant that tells them about Doc Ock and his lab. They decide to go there and get themselves geared up. Meanwhile, Harry and Peter have a talk about what Norman said, and Harry tells Peter that Spider-Man should be whatever Peter wants because his father is not Spider-Man. Suddenly, they get an alert about a truck hijacking somewhere in New York, and Harry gives Peter a new suit he had the engineers at Oscorp work on, and it is the beloved blue and red classic. What a roller coaster. So many things happened and the plot kicked up into overdrive these last 3 episodes. It is good to finally see Spider-Man challenged and humbled, and it finally gives us an excuse to see him don the classic red and blue suit. I can't wait to see what happens next. This brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me, what do you think of these 3 episodes? Do you think Spider-Man will confront Norman about his bullshit? Do you think Doc Ock will break out and fight Spider-Man? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.